All right, so we have breaking news. There is apparently going to be another new movie coming to the DCU. Now, the articles I saw, well, one of them questioned whether this was a part of the DCU, but I don't. It's from DC Studios, so I'm going to call it a part of the DCU. But anyway, it's called Dynamic Duo. Now, the dynamic duo in this case is not Batman and Robin, it's two Robins, specifically Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. So, since we have it where Batman Brave and the Bold is Damian Wayne, Robin, it makes sense that there would be Dick Grayson and Jason Todd already around. Now, the thing is by the time Damian Wayne is already in the picture, Jason is no longer Robin, but Red Hood. So I'm going to say that there's going to be a time jump between this Dick Grayson and Jason Todd and when we get Batman Brave and the Bold. Because this is an animated movie, so it could easily come out before the Batman movie. Because, let's face it, it's easier to do animation than it is to do live action. But the cool part is, first let me turn you around and show you the logo. I share what supposedly is the cool part. Now this is the logo, which I think is, I like it. It's rather classy in a graffiti sort of way. So, let's see if this explains it. Where'd it go? So it's supposed to be a mix of animation, puppetry, and CGI. So, does that mean that we're going between animation and live action? Because why would you need puppetry and CGI if it was pure animation? So, I guess the Robins go from animation to puppets to CGI. I'm really curious how this is going to work. I mean, it could be that they battle puppets, battle CGI villains. I really don't know how this is going to work. But it sounds like it could be really fun. And as has been pointed out by James Gunn before, those that are voicing their characters will play their characters. So if we're getting an animated Dick Grayson and Jason Todd, that means we're going to potentially get live action Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. So let's see, there's this other article. Let's see if it explains more. So it's supposed to follow the early days of Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. Well, so does that mean that they're not teaming up, but it's more of a, first we see the adventures of Dick Grayson, and then we see the adventures of Jason Todd. Because they both started off as teenagers, and they were never Robin at the same time. Dick Grayson left as Robin, and then Batman found Jason Todd. So, how is that going to work? Because early days of Dick Grayson would not be early days of Jason Todd. And vice versa. So, I guess they're going to show them first Dick Grayson and then Jason Todd, and not necessarily a team up. Which, that makes sense if that's the... Now, this is what Deadline explains as to how this is going to work. Swaybox, which is the firm that they're using, well, one of them, I think, uses a technology known as Momo animation, which is a cross between CGI animation, practical elements of stop motion, and live action real-time performance. The result is long-form storytelling billed as visually breathtaking, dynamically expressive, and more human. So is this going to be sort of like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where animation is going to interact with live action? Or, like I said, they jump from different formats? Not sure. Unclear on that concept. But apparently James Gunn has really wanted to do a project like this for a while. So now the question is, who do you want to play Dick Grayson and Jason Todd? Because if there's live action, I assume that we're going to see the two Robins as CGI puppets, as animation, and in live action. So if we're getting them in all three, and not just them battling villains in these different aspects, obviously you need not just a voice actor, but the live action. And like I said, James Gunn has previously said that the voice actors are also going to be the characters in live action. So, yeah. Who do you want to play, Dick Grayson or Jason Todd? Now, since this is the early days, when Dick Grayson is a teenager and when Jason Todd is a teenager, well, he basically will forever be a teenager because Lazarus Pit, death and Lazarus Pit. I'm going to say that, I'm blanking on the name, Brendan something from Titans. Obviously, he's not going to be playing Dick Grayson in this project. Now, since this is early days, it could easily be that the role is recast, because teenage Dick Grayson would not be around at the same time as teenage Damian Wayne, or even teenage Jason Todd. So, in this case, they probably would recast the actors for that very reason. Unless they change something and it's no longer early days. It's, Dick Grayson just before he becomes Nightwing, mentoring Jason Todd or something. But so far we're hearing early days. So that tells me that whoever they're getting will not move forward unless they decide we're going to keep them until they age up. Who knows? But that's all we have at this point. And I don't think they have a script yet. I think that this is just something that's been greenlit, so because it's animation, maybe it won't end up in development hell, but there's also live action elements, so maybe it can still potentially end up in development hell. But either way, this is going to be very interesting. I'm very excited to see what this would look like, because I've seen live action interact with animation, like I said, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So I've seen that, but I'm a little unclear of the concept of CGI puppetry, because either you have puppets or you don't, and how that's going to move into live action. You know, again, are the Robins going to move from live action animation and CGI puppets? Or are they going to be fighting villains in these various different forms? So, yeah. And maybe you guys know better of how this mono animation works, and you're cracking up hysterically at me because I'm just so very clueless. But at least I admit I'm clueless. So, that is all I have for this video. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one.